Welcome everybody. This is the SharePoint Patterns and Practices webcast, also known as Office 365 Dev PnP Webcast. And today we're going to talk about the PnP Partner Pack version 2.0. You might have actually heard about the PnP Partner Pack in the past, and it's kind of a starter kit or a reference solution which is combining a lot of the patterns and practices guidance from the SharePoint PnP. For example, using the JavaScript embedding and site provisioning and remote provisioning and all of these goodies what the PnP is actually providing. So with the PnP Partner Pack 2.0, we are taking an actually pretty big leap on the capabilities what the starter pack is actually providing and showing how to take advantage. The PnP Partner Pack is something what you can use as such. You can modify the branding elements within it using configurations, or you can use it as an kind of an inspiration for your own customization which you're building towards SharePoint Online and Office 365. My name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm a Senior Program Manager from SharePoint Engineering, and with me today as the main speaker is Paolo Pialorsi. He's pretty much the father of the PnP Partner Pack. Wouldn't you say so, Paolo?
I think we can say so, more or less, yes. Together with Erwin, to be fair, because the very first release of the Partner Pack was made by me and Erwin, and now I'm leading the development of the version 2.0. I'm a senior consultant. I work in a company of my own called psys.com, and I'm an MVP on Office Server and Services. And as Vesa said, today I will walk you through the Partner Pack V2.
Sounds good. And obviously, Paolo is one of the PnP core team members who's helping the community within a GitHub and in the forums and all of that. So you probably are familiar with Paolo's name if you've been watching what we're doing within the PnP initiative. But anyway, I'll let Paolo to lead, and I'll jump in wherever needed with additional questions. So Paolo, take it away.
Okay, let's start with the webcast. So first of all, we need to understand what is it the PnP Partner Pack. And as Vesa said, it is a ready-to-use reference solution that show you how to leverage Office 365 and SharePoint Online, and how to build a custom business-level solution on top of these cloud-based services. It is an open source project, so you can find the source code on GitHub within a dedicated repository that we have under the Office Dev organization on GitHub. And it is based on the main samples, guidance, and patterns that we promote with PnP. So as you will see pretty soon during the demos, we reused most of the guidelines and patterns that we describe and we promote with PnP. It is based on community efforts because it is an open source project. So as long as you want to contribute, you can simply fork and submit your pull request and submit your ideas so that we can make the project grow day by day and become on a daily basis better and better. And lastly, it is an easy to set up solution and easy to maintain because we try to define the architecture and the setup process so that you can easily use it in your own tenant. And as we already said, you can also customize the branding and the text messages of the UI of the Partner Pack if you want to use it in your own tenant and you want to provide your own logo and your own text messages around the UI of the project. So what are the main capabilities? I will be pretty fast explaining this slide just because I want to move to the demo of the product, and there you will see those capabilities in practice. But basically, one of the main capabilities is the one to allow you to save a site as a remote provisioning template, a PnP provisioning template, which is a very killer feature because you can design your websites using the web browser and you can save the result as a new template that can be used to create new sites, which can be sub-sites in a site collection, or can be root sites and root site collections if you want to use a provisioning template that targets the site collection.
One thing actually on the save site as a template, even though we want to show that one in practice as well, but when you save site as a template using the PnP Partner Pack, you are able to choose if that template will be available in that site collection or across tenant. which is a kind of additional capability comparing to out-of-the-box save site as a template, which is using sandbox solution and has other issues as well. But you can actually save an existing site to be used as a template across the tenant, and that's a huge advantage using this solution.
Absolutely, absolutely, I totally agree. Another really interesting capability is the capability to create a new set collection for non-admin users. Because right now, if you just use the out-of-the-box tools you have in SharePoint Online, you will have to be a SharePoint administrator to being able to create a set collection. Using the Partner Pack and using the app-only access to the tenant, we can make it possible to create set collections for non-admin users, which will be able to schedule the creation of a set collection, which will be created in background by a background engine. Moreover, we can see what are the set collections that every single user created or is going to create with a personal view of the My Set Collections, which is yet another very often requested feature from enterprises. We provide a sample about how to create a responsive site. So when you create a site or a site collection, you can enable a flag to make it responsive. And I'm not thinking about the new modern UI, which is already responsive, but I'm thinking about the, I would say, the classic UI of SharePoint Online, which has been made responsive as well. Moreover, you have and you will find some governance tools which will allow you to do some branding stuff like applying the same branding all over the site collections you have and sub-sites you have in your tenant. You will be able to do bulk creation of site collections, as well as you will be able to update, to refresh any site created with the Partner Pack using the latest version of the template. So if you update a template during the project lifetime, you will be able, by pressing just a button, to refresh all of the sites created based on that template. And again, there are some sample timer jobs which use the timer job framework provided by PnP, by the PnP core library, to do some governance stuff like double-checking the number of site collection administrators in a site collections or stuff like that. So it is a really useful sample that shows you how to do properly what you usually need to do in your own SharePoint Online tenant. In order to play with the Partner Pack, of course, you will need to have an Office 365 tenant, and at least with an active subscription and active license. You will also need to have a Microsoft Azure subscription in order to host some of the components. From an architectural perspective, the PnP Partner Pack has been built thinking about hosting the environment on Azure. If you don't want to use Azure, you can change, because it is an open source project, you can change the project and host it somewhere else. But out of the box, we target Azure. Moreover, you will need to have the PnP PowerShell CMDLET in the latest version, which is the one of September 2016. And of course, if you want to play with it, you should have Visual Studio 2015 or Visual Studio Code, just to look inside the code and to do the deployment stuff using the Visual Studio deployment capabilities. So, that said, let me go to the first demo. Let me show you what are the main capabilities of the PnP Partner Pack in practice. So, let me show you my web browser. And first of all, here we have the repository for the PnP Partner Pack, which is under the Office Dev organization /PnP Partner Pack. Here you can find all the source code, but also some documentation. For example, you will find a setup guide, which will drive you step by step through the installation of the PnP Partner Pack in your own tenant. So this is the main entry point if you want to play with the Partner Pack. Of course, I already have a ready-to-go and installed environment, so I will show you directly how the Partner Pack behaves in real practice. This is a site collection that I created in my own development tenant. And if I go to the site settings of this site, you will see that, first of all, the UI of the site setting page adapts to the UI of the and to the size of the desktop I'm running the application on. And in fact, I'm on a desktop environment, and I see this presentation, this set of administrative tools. But if I reduce the size of the screen, and if I go, for example, in the responsive UI, as you can see, I have the hamburger menu, which allows me to play with the UI of the SharePoint site, even if I'm in a smaller screen and I'm on a smaller device. Let me go back to the full desktop screen, and let me show you the main feature we have in the Partner Pack, which is the Save Site as Provisioning Template. If I click on this menu item, which is a custom action we added to the settings menu of SharePoint, as you can see, we go to a custom page which is hosted by an external application, which is an Office 365 application hosted on Azure. And this page, which is provided through an MVC ASP.NET application, will allow me to save the current site as a template so that I will be able to create multiple sites based on the current site outline and artifacts. So I can provide a name, for example, sample template 1. This will be just the title of the template, so we can use spaces and whatever we like. We will have a description, we will have a file name, and out of the box, the PnP Partner Pack will store the provisioning templates as .pnp open XML files. So you will have just a unique file with all of the information inside that file, so that it is also very, very easy to get a PnP file from one tenant, from one site, and move it somewhere else. So if you are playing in a development environment, you are creating your own site definition, site models, let me say, and then you want to store, you want to extract the template from that site and use it somewhere else on another tenant, you can do that pretty easily. I can include the security settings, I can include the composed look files and all the branding stuff. And as Vesa told you a few minutes ago, you can save the template at the tenant level or at the site collection level. If you store it at the tenant level, it will be available for any site collection you want to create. If you want to store it at site collection level, it will be available just for creating sub-sites within the same site collection in which you are. Then you can provide a preview image if you want, so that you can give a nice preview of the UI of your site template if you like. And then you can simply click on the Save button, and there will be a job which will be scheduled, and an asynchronous web job will process the request, will extract the template, and store it in the target repository that you choose through the UI.
On this one, actually, Paolo, just kind of reinforcing the message on the previous UI. So really, when we are saving that site as a template, site usually consists obviously from a configuration like the site columns and content types and lists and definitions and all of that. But then there's quite often there's branding assets like images and logo and CSS files and theme files. And all of that is really getting kind of encapsulated to that PnP file. So when you save site as a template and you get a one PnP file, which is an open XML file, which then contains all of the configurations, all of the assets, all of the branding things, if you choose to do so. It was one setting related on branding on the site as well. And that's really, really convenient, like Paolo mentioned, because you can actually design your template in the dev box, and then you're able to use that when you move into the, for example, for production. And that capability is available not outside of the PnP Partner Pack as well, when you think of it. Obviously, the UI for saving the PnP file is in the PnP Partner Pack, but the actual engine what we are using there is part of the PnP provisioning engine, and you can actually use that using PowerShell or whatever managed code as well. Just kind of reinforce the message.
Absolutely, and one more message that I think it's really important is that we do not export the content of the site. So, yes. As you said, Vesa, we export all the artifacts or the settings, the branding if we want, but by design we decided to not export all of the content. So if you have any files, any items in list, those will not be exported in the template.
Yes.
Just to be clear.
Yes, because we don't want to compete with migration solutions, and this is not a migration solution. This is for defining actual configurations of sites. Technically, there are ways to handle that, but typically what we're seeing is that the enterprises are combining, for example, when they're doing transformation or migration from SharePoint on-premises to SharePoint Online, they use migration tooling plus PnP provisioning engine to get that stuff moved over. But let's not actually go to that route, so let's continue on demonstrating the capabilities.
So I went back to the site, and I want to show you that if I go to the site content with the new modern UI of SharePoint Online, here I have the sub-sites of my site collection, which is now empty. But if I click on the new button and I select to create a new sub-site, you will see that we will go for a while to the out-of-the-box page, but we will be redirected to a custom page, which is again hosted in the PnP Partner Pack, which will allow the end user to create a sub-site based on the provisioning templates that we have at the tenant level, if we want, or eventually at the current site collection level, or moreover, through a PnP Template Gallery, which is a new idea we introduced in the PnP Partner Pack v2, which will allow everybody in the community to share any useful provisioning template through a GitHub repository and through an online website, which will be an online gallery of site templates, which will be shared across the entire community. So if you have a great idea, if you have a great template that you want to share, pretty soon you will be able to upload your template to this gallery, and the template will be available to everybody else for creating a new site based on that template. I think it's really, really cool.
Yes, it is. It is. You could almost kind of go to the level and saying, hey, isn't that kind of the Fabulous 40 kind of thinking? And yes, in some level, even though Fabulous 40 was something slightly different. But what we want to do is to provide a community central repository for community for sharing those templates. You can either download the template manually, or if you're using the PnP Partner Pack, you can actually choose to use just this UI to get access on seeing what's available within the centralized gallery. And the gallery will be released slightly later than this when this video is recorded. But we'll communicate that clearly in our messaging as well.
Great. So now I want to target my global tenant template provider, and I want to use, for example, this template. I can simply click on the next button. I will have to provide some basic information about the subsite that I will create. Let me provide a name like subsite01, because I'm a developer and I don't have any great ideas for for better names or descriptions. Of course, I have already predefined language and time zone based on the site collection that will host my subsite. I can inherit the permission or not from the site collection, and I can apply the tenant branding. What is it? Well, in Partner Pack v2, we introduced the capability to save at the SharePoint tenant level a bunch of branding settings that can be reused if you want, so that whenever you create a new subsite or a new site, root site of a site collection, we can out of the box apply the tenant level branding, so that all of your sites will look the same, will have the same composed look, will have the same logo, will have the same color palette and stuff like that. So that, again, this is a very often requested feature from enterprises. Whenever you have a new site, you can brand it with the company branding, and if you update the company branding, as you will see pretty soon, you will be able just to press one button and refresh all of the brandings of all of the sites and site collection you already created.
And that's, Paolo, actually a really good point what you mentioned as a follow-up, because that's a logical question. Okay, that's fine. I can define the branding when I create the site, but how would I actually change the branding centrally afterwards? And we got you covered. So Paolo is going to move there in a second.
Yeah. Now I click on the next button to again schedule a job which will in background create my sub-sites in my site collection. And if I go back just for a while, pretty soon, it's a matter of few seconds, we will see the sub-site 01 appearing in this UI. Of course, as I told you, there is an asynchronous job in the background, so usually within 1 minute from the scheduling of the job, it will start, the web job will start processing the queue and the request. In the meantime, I can show you that in the Azure Blob Storage, which is our repository for the blob queue, we have an item which has been scheduled and which will be processed by the engine. And just let me try to refresh. Okay, as you can see, we already have the subsite 01, which is not yet ready, most likely, because the engine in the background is creating the subsite, is applying the provisioning template, and is applying the branding to the subsite. So it will take a few minutes to do the full provisioning of the site, but it will be done for us in background by the asynchronous engine of the Partner Pack.
And on that one, Paolo,
yep.
Sorry, just to kind of clarify that slightly, because I think the immediate follow-up question is that, hey, but that's slightly different than how SharePoint actually does that. So why aren't you using a synchronous process to creating the subsite? And the answer is that when we're hosting this UI, the web UI for creating subsites in Microsoft Azure, there's a 1-minute timeout for any processing. So obviously we could show a GIF animation and saying, hey, your subsite is getting created. But if the appliement of the configurations and brandings and all of the settings would take longer than 1 minute, that process would time out. And that's not an optimal situation. And that's why we're approaching this by using the asynchronous process within Azure Web Jobs.
Exactly. And now let me go to the PnP Partner Pack to show you some of the other very interesting capabilities that we have. So, for example, from here, if I want to go to the Partner Pack is an Office 365 application, and I can activate it through the App Launcher on the upper left corner of my screen, at least in this screen resolution. And if I click on the App Launcher button, I can see that I have the Office Dev PnP Partner Pack icon. I can launch the Partner Pack from here, and as you will see pretty soon, under the governance menu item, we have some items like, for example, the SharePoint branding. And when I told you a few minutes ago that you can apply a tenant-wide level branding, I meant that here you can define what is the logo, what is the background image, if any, what is the color file, the font file, any CSS override, and eventually also a UI custom action, which will be a JavaScript file that you want to embed in all of your sites and site collections. So here you can simply store, by pressing the apply button, these settings, which will be reused whenever you will create a site or a site collection. But you can also click the rollout button, which again will enqueue in the blob queue a new item, which will be used to execute in asynchronous a lap around all of the sites and site collections in your tenant in order to apply the same branding or to refresh the branding to all of the sites, all of the assets you have in your SharePoint tenant.
Which might take a while, depending on a tenant size, no doubt, but it's actually scanning them through all of the sites, collections, and then reapplying the branding if somebody has changed any of the settings. Exactly.
It will take quite a lot, probably, if you have quite a lot of site collections, but it will do that. Yep. Step by step, it will do. So, another interesting feature that you have, if you go to the UI, to the homepage of the Partner Pack, is the capability to create a site collections. Because you can create a subsite in an already existing site collection, or you create a fresh new site collection from scratch. And as we said, without being an administrator, without being a SharePoint administrator. Some of the UI items you see in this interface, like, for example, the governance items and the settings, are available just to SharePoint administrators and tenant administrators, while the Create Site Collection and the My Site Collections items are available to any users, at least out of the box. But again, it is open source. You can change these security settings. If I click on the Create Site Collection, I will have almost the same UI experience as before. Again, I can select a template from the tenant or from the gallery. Of course, I cannot select a template in a site collection because I still don't have my site collection. I'm going to create a new one right now. And let's say I want to select this template. I can click on the next button. Again, I have this UI, which, by the way, it is totally based on the Office UI fabric, as any other UI element we have in the Partner Pack. So again, if you want to take inspiration from this solution, you can also have a look at how we use the Office UI fabric in a real solution. Of course, I can provide some information about my site collection, site collections 12, which is not yet used.
Yeah. Super creative.
I'm an artist, I know. I will go to select my time zone, which is this one, because I live in the north of Italy. And here you see we have the UI to select the primary and the secondary site collection administrator, which again is based on the Office UI Fabric component. And here I can use the Microsoft Graph. So one more time, another example about how to use the Microsoft Graph within an Office 365 application. And I'm using the Microsoft Graph to query Azure Active Directory to search for any user with Paolo in his name. I have multiple identities, as you can see, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I will select this guy, and I also select still myself, the other one, for the secondary set collection administrator. I can again provide some settings like enable external sharing or not, enable the partner pack on the target set collection so that I will have out of the box all the partner pack capabilities available, make it responsive or not. And again, those flags are based on the Office UI Fabric component, and apply tenant branding if I want.
One comment maybe on that one, because somebody might be saying that why are you even showing the option of enabling partner pack or not within this UI, which is a fair comment. If you want to have an adaptation of this code, you can easily fork the code from a GitHub and modify it that it's always that section is hidden and it's always on, so that the end user cannot actually disable that option. So this is a starter kit and really for inspiration for partners and customers to build similar solution for their tenants, or you can use it as is as well.
So now I will click on the next button to again schedule the job to create a site collection. And if I go to the My Site Collections page, which will take a while to do the inventory of all of the site collections that I already created or that are pending creation, as you can see here I have my site collection 12, which is pending creation. And as soon as the job will start processing this request, I will have my site collection available. Just to show you two more features, I will go back to the governance menu section, and I will show you that we also have a refresh sites button, which will allow you to go through all of the sites and site collections that you created using the partner pack. So not every site collection or every site, but just those created using the partner pack. And going through all of these sites and site collections, it will refresh, it will apply the provisioning template that you originally used to create those sites and site collections, so that in case of any update of the template, also the target site will be updated.
So
which
this
is
one
really,
is
really cool.
Yeah, so this one, just to kind of clarify that, because you don't see actually the template from this UI. So the individual templates, when you save a template in the tenant or site collection level, especially in the tenant level, it's saved in a separate infrastructure or site collection. So if you as an administrator go and modify the template and you introduce, for example, additional content types and fields to the content type or views to the list and all of that, and you want to have existing sites reflected by that change, this is the functionality what you want to use.
Yeah, exactly. And moreover, you also have the site collections batch capability, which allows you to create a batch, a bulk creation of site collections simply using an XML file based on a schema which is well documented and provided through this interface. And you can simply choose a file, like this one, for example. And if you want to see how it is made, we can simply open it in a new tab. As you can see, we have a site collection element for every single site collection that you want to create. And we have some information like the language, the time zone, the site policies. Basically, all of the information you would have to provide using the UI of the PnP Partner Pack. But all of this information are stored in a unique batch and bulk file, which can be used to upload it to the Partner Pack and to again schedule a batch process which will create step by step all of the site collections for you in background. Of course, if I click the start button, it will be scheduled and all of the site collections will be created. So from a functional perspective, I think you had quite a good overview of the main and of the new capabilities we introduced in the Partner Pack. And now we can go back to the slide deck just for a while.
Yep. just to talk about some architectural topics on how it's actually implemented, how is it actually working, and we'll come back on the demo in a second as well.
Cool. So from an architectural perspective, what we did is, first of all, to create an Office 365 application, which out of the box has to be hosted on Azure, on an Azure App Service, in which we will have the website and a couple of web jobs, which will process all of the asynchronous requests. Then we have the configuration of an Office 365 application in the Office 365 tenant, so that we have to properly set up all of the security settings, like the app-only token to execute the jobs in background without the user identity, and sometime with user delegation if needed. And moreover, we use an infrastructural set collection in the SharePoint Online tenant, which is used to store the provisioning templates, to store the jobs as JSON files stored in a library, as well as to store the tenant-wide branding settings. Lastly, as I told you, in the Azure App Service, we have a couple of Azure web jobs, which use an Azure Blob Storage queue in order to wake up the jobs and to process the requests using an asynchronous model, which is well explained in the following, or better, in the current slide. So imagine that you have your SharePoint Online site in Office 365. You run the PnP Partner Pack application, so you basically activate the Office 365 applications, and you do something through the UI of the application, like you want to create a new subsite. Well, the creation of a new subsite will enqueue a message in the storage queue on Azure, so that as soon as there will be any new message in the storage queue, the web job will be activated and will do is tasks. So it will create the site collection, or it will create the subsite, and it will perform all of the actions needed to complete the assigned task. This is a pattern that we promote as PnP through the guidance and through many samples we have, and of course we decided to use it in this solution as well.
And that's, by the way, a super powerful pattern for a lot of the other stuff as well. So not just only for site provisioning. So whenever you have a long-running task, which is initiated by the end user, but we don't want to actually steal the browser to show a GIF animation, or we want to process the request in an asynchronous way, this is the model what you want to actually think through. And super powerful. You can do a lot with this kind of a pattern.
So let me go back just for a quick overview, very quick overview of the items we have in Azure and the Azure Active Directory, and then we will be back to the slide deck. So from a settings perspective, we have on Azure, here is my browser, my Edge browser on the Azure Management Portal. I have the Azure App Service, which is the one hosting the Partner Pack we just used. And as you can see, here we have the website by itself, but under the web jobs, we have a couple of jobs, which are the continuous job and the scheduled job. Well, the continuous one is continuously running, and it will be activated by the queue-based messages we just talked about. The scheduled job can be scheduled, as the name implies, so you can simply run it manually whenever you want, or you can schedule, for example, every 30 minutes, every hour, every day, this job to run, so that whenever it will be executed, it will look into the list of jobs, pending jobs, and it will execute all of them in order to complete all of your requests. These jobs and the Azure App Service will consume the Office 365 environment and the SharePoint Online environment using the REST APIs and the client-side object model of SharePoint, thanks to an Office 365 application registered in the Azure Active Directory tenant, which sits under the cover of every Office 365 tenant. In my case, my tenant has the following Azure AD tenant, which I will show you as soon as it will be ready. And you will see under the Applications section of my tenant, let me go there directly, I have the Office Dev PnP Partner Pack application, which under the Configure tab has been configured with some settings like the sign-on URL, the client ID, and all the stuff needed to create an Office 365 application, as well as a bunch of permissions which can be delegated permissions, so that will be used when the application behaves with a delegation from the end users, or with applications permissions, which are those used when we run our code with an app-only token. And as you can see, we have permissions for SharePoint Online. For example, we can have full control of all the site collections because we need to create new site collections, as well as we have access to the Microsoft Graph, for example, in order to read and write the user profile, to get the user profile picture, to get the information about the current user, and to see if he or she is an admin or not, and stuff like that. So basically, in order to provision and to set up the Partner Pack from an architectural perspective, you will need to properly configure both the app service on an Azure subscription, as well as the Office 365 application in the Azure AD management portal. And that's why, coming back just for a few seconds to the deployment guide, if you want to set up the PnP Partner Pack, you need to have the Azure Active Directory application registered and configured for app-only access. You will have to create the infrastructure of site collection. You will have to create the Azure Blob storage, in which we will use the storage queue for the asynchronous messages, and of course the Azure App Service with the website, the app-only certificate settings, and the web jobs that will be used to execute the asynchronous tasks. Looks kind of a complex process. It's not that easy, to be fair, but another very interesting news we have in Partner Pack v2, we are working on a setup wizard, which will be a desktop UI-based application, which will be ready pretty soon, even if a little bit after the recording of this webcast. And through this application, you will be able to provide all of the settings, and the application will create all of the Azure and Office 365 settings and stuff for you. Right now, and as we were able to do with the PnP Partner Pack v1 and v1.1, you can follow the setup guide and manually do all of the steps. We already provide some PowerShell scripts to help you do it properly and easily, but you will have to go through a setup guide step by step really carefully. But again, pretty soon you will have a tool which will do everything for you. And lastly, if you want to also play with the Partner Pack from an extensibility viewpoint, you can customize the way we do the storage of the provisioning templates and of the queue messages. So if you want to, for example, target instead of SharePoint Online a SharePoint on-premises environment, you will be able to get the code, do a fork of the GitHub project, and customize the behavior of the provisioning repository. You can create custom template providers if you want to provide your own templates from a third-party repository, so not only from the current tenant or set collection, and not only from the PnP public template gallery, but from somewhere else. For example, you want to store on a file system your custom provisioning templates. And you can also, if you like, create custom jobs and job handlers if you want to add much more capabilities to the Partner Pack. Of course, because it is an open source project and it is a community project, if you want to share with the community what you do, it will be more than welcome. Right, Lisa?
Absolutely. Absolutely, that would be more than appreciated. Just to be clear, for example, on the on-premises side, we would love to the PnP Partner Pack to have a native implementation for on-premises. It doesn't have it right now, and that's a matter of resourcing and timing and schedule. So if somebody is interested in implementing a reference custom provisioning repository for on-premises handling, that would be absolutely brilliant. The architecture is there, and there's a placeholders for these things to actually be there, but the actual implementation is missing. But it's obviously we do understand that not all of the developers A have time, or B have possibility to contribute back on the open source initiatives. So we don't worry about it if you can't actually contribute. We do understand the realities of life and day-to-day work as well.
And to be fair, from my perspective, I think that the best thing to do would be to have it hybrid, so able to create site collection and site both on premises and on SharePoint Online using the same PnP Partner Pack. So this could be a new goal for the future.
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that said, I think we are done, Vesa.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think great presentation and walkthrough of the capabilities and also what's available. We're kind of debating on should we do a deep dive on the extensibility points and the deep dive on the code, and most likely we'll do a separate video on that one with Paolo and release that as a webcast or a separate video slightly later. Obviously, depending on when you're watching the video, but I think this is a great walkthrough, and we'd really encourage people to have a look on the PnP Partner Pack. It's there as a starter kit, or as to be used within your tenants, or as an inspiration how you can build this kind of an automation using the community tooling. When we're recording this, we are in the mid-September, and if somebody is wondering that is the PnP provisioning engine, let's say in quotes, reliable enough? Is it actually used because it's a community initiative? Our metrics are showing that the PnP provisioning engine has been used within more than 500 tenants within the last 3 months. And that's huge. And that means that there's a lot of other people who are using these capabilities, which means that we within Microsoft and SharePoint Engineering will keep on supporting the PnP provisioning engine in the future as well. Well, supporting in the sense of helping the community effort. Technically, the PnP is not a product. It's not a service, so it's an open source community-driven initiative. But we're looking into different support scenarios for the future as well. But anything what you want to kind of a summary from your side, Paolo, on the...
No, I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and thank you, Vesa, for hosting me.
Absolutely. Thank you from my side as well for watching, and we'll come up with a new webcast sooner or later. Thank you.